Oh, jeez. There we go. All right. Well, now I think that we're ready to start. I always have to take care of a few initial things at the start of these, so sorry about that. Anyways, so for whoever sees this first, per usual, just let me know if there's sound. I always appreciate it when you guys do that, because then I can hopefully fix the problem if there is one. So yesterday, across my various social media platforms and on this group's page, I felt like talking about the topic of body image just because it's something that affects me a lot, and I know that it affects other people quite a bit as well. And a lot of folks were pretty supportive of that topic, so I decided that I wanted to do a live stream of it and for it, just because I know I've talked about this a little bit across social media. Most people who know me are aware of it, but at least for me, I've lost a lot of weight within the last year or so. I'm not quite sure how long it's been, but I wanted to talk about that and just kind of cover that story a little bit, because I found people would be interested in hearing that. And I know that there's other people that struggle with their body image and wanting to lose weight or trying to keep weight off and that sort of thing. So my story with it is, I would say, when I was a sophomore in college, I started to be very unhappy with the way that I looked. And I think that's something most people go through. But that was definitely when the unhappiness started to like increase. And it wasn't that I wasn't active per se, just because I've always, at least through like high school, I think a lot of people played sports. Like I was always into soccer and I ran a lot. But I thought that like I weighed too much, at least compared to my other female friends, so to speak. So at that point in time, my height is 5'7", and when I was a sophomore in college, I weighed about 150 pounds. If you use any of those, like, I think they're like BMI charts if you're trying to figure out if you need to lose weight or if you're overweight or whatever. They have like age things and like how much you exercise. Anyways, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But at least regarding like those, I was never like, I don't know, classified as being overweight. But I started to like ask my family a lot if they thought I needed to lose weight, or I started to ask like my close friends a lot if they thought that I needed to lose weight. And the answer for it was always no. That nobody thought that like I needed to lose weight, or they all thought that I looked fine and like that sort of thing. I believe it was, I don't remember who it was that told me this, but they thought if I wanted to lose weight, I probably could. So yeah, that's kind of like what set it off. I was just like very unhappy with the way that I looked, at least compared to other females and that sort of thing. So anyways, at that point in time, I weighed about 150 pounds. And I basically began this like weight loss journey or like dieting. I don't really know what to call it. But anyways, I used to weigh 150 pounds. And over the course of, I don't know, probably like a year or longer, honestly, I'm not quite sure on what the time frame for it is, I dropped all the way down to 118 pounds. And then recently, where I'm at right now is I weigh about 130 pounds. So I'll kind of talk about that a little fit and like what I was eating and like that sort of thing. So when I was at my higher weight of like 150, I would say that I ate like a lot of breads, a lot. Like I ate a lot of food. Now that I'm thinking about it, I ate quite a bit of food. So that was definitely part of it. And I ate like a lot of like carbs. I know bread is addicting for people and cereal is, I don't know, addicting and like pasta and that sort of thing. So I definitely wasn't eating like the healthiest. So part of that was definitely cutting that stuff out. And honestly, just, I don't want to say like stop eating. But yeah, I kind of cut back on food, if that's a good way to put it. It's like, I don't want to use the wrong terminology and offend people or something like that. But yeah, honestly, I would say I just kind of stopped eating or like cut back on food. Not that I was necessarily starving myself at that point. But I was just trying to cut back on, I guess, like the amount of calories that I was taking in and that sort of thing. So yeah, I cut out like a lot of breads and like a lot of snacking, and I started to lose weight from there. And I never really changed my workout patterns at all. Like I've always exercised or gone to the gym. I run a lot. So I didn't change any of that. So for me, it's always been like the diet aspect. So yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, so yeah, I started to lose weight from that point. And I started to drop down, I don't know, into like the 140s and then into the 130s and then into the 120s. But there's definitely some more negative habits that kind of went along with that. So like when I'd be at school all day, and I don't want to say that I would like purposely skip meals, but at least for me, it's easy to, if you're at like work all day, it's easy to like say like skip lunch or like not bring food with you to that, or just like be really busy, like if you oversleep or something, like you miss breakfast. So I would say that definitely played a part into it, at least as far as like meals go. At least with that, because I started when I was like losing like a lot of weight through like the 130s and into like the 120s. I was missing meals a lot, which isn't, I don't know, it's not like the best thing to do, but that was definitely part of it. So yeah, I started to lose more and more weight. I think I was around like the 130 mark where I started to get like this thought in my head. And I'm sure like I'm not really sure with like guys, but at least with girls, I think there's definitely like this thought that we should all weigh like 120 pounds. Like that's like the ideal weight for like a female, at least in, I don't know, like pop culture maybe. I don't want to give like the wrong language, you know. So yeah, that was like the weight that I was really shooting for, was to weigh 120 pounds. So yeah, I started to like really shoot for that and really go for that. And honestly, the way that came about is I basically stopped eating. And I would skip meals all the time, kind of like what I was saying before, at least to like lose weight. Like that was the hardest weight to like lose, like going from like 130 down to like 120. And yeah, if I'm being honest, as far as that goes, the way that happened is I would just skip food or meals, especially like lunch and dinner, or just like eat really small portion sizes, like intentionally like not bring food with me, or intentionally like make sure I didn't have money with me to buy food. So if you're working like these like really long days, because I would have days. No, you're good, Kyle. I think it's also just a Friday in the afternoon, so people have like work and such. So, you know, it's a weird time. I have to go to work later, so that's why I'm doing this now. Yeah. So anyways, where was I? So yeah, I purposefully stopped eating so that I could drop down to 120 pounds, and it was super difficult. But yeah, kind of, it was hard, at least from like a mental state too, because I had a lot of people telling me, and they didn't mean it like poorly or like unintentionally, but I had a lot of people that would tell me that I looked great now. At least when I was down in like the lower like 120s. Um, a lot of adults that I would knew said that I looked really great or that I looked awesome. The really bad one was "you look so great now," and I understand. Like obviously, like they're telling me that I've lost a lot of weight and that I look good and that I should be proud of myself and that sort of thing. But you also have to be careful because even when you compliment people on like their body shape or like how they look now, you don't really know what they're doing to maintain that. So yeah, so a lot of people were telling me that I looked really good. Um, but I was also like skipping lunch or like skipping dinner so that I could maintain like those really low weights. Um, so yeah, that's definitely like the downside of it, I guess. Um, so yeah, as far as that goes, or at least being, I guess, like weighing like about like 120 pounds, there's definitely some, I don't know, like physical factors that went into it. So I was still like working out and like running, but it was definitely really difficult to like work out, especially to run. Like I couldn't run fast like I used to. I was definitely tired and I want to say like dizzy, but I definitely wasn't working out as hard or at least as like I could be. Like it was definitely like hard to work out. Um, I craved a lot of sugar when I weighed like 120 pounds. Like sugar tasted like really good, especially like cookies and like that stuff. That was probably because I wasn't eating. So your body craves sugar more. Trying to think of other. Oh yeah, and the other thing too, and this has to do with like being underweight a little bit. I don't know specifically. Well, I do know what it is for my height, but I don't want to say that. Or maybe I will. I don't know. But the other thing, at least for like females, if your weight gets too low, or if you're like malnourished, you stop having your period. So for me, when I was weighing like 120 pounds or like the lower 120s, like I stopped having my period for, I don't know, probably it was for a long time. I would say more than 6 months. At least it was like 6 months to a year. I stopped having it just because I was at such a light weight, I guess for like my body type or for my genetics. So yeah, so I was down in the 120s or that there's really low weight area. And then within this last semester, I've moved back up to like 130 pounds. There we go. So sorry about that. I was adjusting the computer so I can keep up with who's watching this, since Facebook lets me know those now. Anyways, so since then, so I was at 120 pounds and I wasn't eating and skipping meals. And then within this last semester, I moved up to 130 pounds. And honestly, it's because I started eating again. I started eating lunch and like dinner and that sort of thing. And as far as that goes, it's definitely been a mental struggle with that. Just because, again, like there's always like that mentality, like, especially as a female. I'm sure guys struggle with it too, with how like they look. But for females, there's that struggle. You need to be small and you need to be skinny. If you're in a relationship, you can't weigh more than the guy. That's like a major no. So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of like mental struggle with that. At least for me, I think that I need to like lose the weight again, and I want to, just because at least right now I'm very unsatisfied with the way that I look. But the other problem with that too is even when I was at a really low weight, like when I was at 120 pounds, I still didn't think that I looked good then. Like I still didn't like the way that my stomach looked, or I didn't like certain things about myself, or I didn't like my actual like overall body shape, which is probably just like a genetics thing. But I still like really disliked myself. I definitely had a paranoia of gaining weight, because pretty much when I was 120 pounds, whenever I like ate at all, it would all of a sudden my like weight would like spike back to like 122 or like 123, and I'd have to like not eat again. So it was definitely not a good relationship to have with food. So yeah, it was a pretty bad cycle to be in. And there's other things that would stress me out a lot too. Like I hate going out to eat at restaurants, because whenever I go out to eat at restaurants, I gain weight. So like going out at all is always like super stressful for me, just because I don't want to eat and that sort of thing. Or it's like, I don't know why the portion sizes are just like super big. So that's definitely part of the thing that goes into it. So yeah, that's been kind of my, I guess, like story of, I don't know, weight loss. So I guess like the healthier aspects to kind of take away from that if you're like trying to lose weight, or you do want to, because to a certain extent, some of it does have to do with how much you're eating. And when I weighed 150 pounds, I was definitely eating the wrong food groups. Like I ate a lot of carbs to like the point where, you know, people in my life were saying, you could probably eat less carbs. And I'm aware of that too, that I could probably eat less bread and less carbs. I also use an app called Lose It, which tracks your calories. So that can be really helpful, but it's also really easy to get super obsessed with it and the tracking. And I have that problem, and you know, I have a scale, so again, I get obsessed with like that sort of thing. So it's easy to like check your weight for me multiple times a day instead of just like once a week or like that sort of thing. Because people say like weight always fluctuates. So yeah, ideally, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't have to skip meals to do it, or you want to try to find as many, I don't know, like healthy ways to lose weight that don't involve skipping meals. So obviously, if you're skipping meals like I was, and you get down to like a really low weight, and people are telling you you look good and that sort of thing, then when you go out to eat or you start eating again, then you just kind of gain all that weight back, and it becomes like a self-worth and like a mental problem too. So yeah, that's kind of my story with that, at least as far as it just goes with me. Obviously, I still have problems with it. It's still something that I deal with as a struggle on a daily basis, especially since I've like gained back weight so that I'm at like 130. Right now in my head, I'm in a space where I'm like, I have to lose that weight, or at least I want to drop back down to like 125. Ideally in the most healthy way possible. But it's definitely, as far as that goes, it's definitely been a self-worth thing. Like there's certain things that I don't let myself do. Like right now I have this thing with like clothing. Like I won't let myself buy any new clothing until I lose more weight. Or I have this weird thing with like form-fitting clothing at the moment, just because I've gained back back weight. I don't want to wear like any form-fitting clothing just because I don't like the way that I look, at least right now. So yeah, so that's kind of that. And then I'm going to touch a little bit on, not fully on eating disorders, just because I have a lot of information for that in front of me right now, and I don't want to read through all of it. But if you are trying to lose weight, there's always like a chance that it could develop into an eating disorder. I just kind of marked some of the symptoms for me. That definitely indicated I was having some issues. Yeah, so these are all things that I experienced, at least when I was at like lower weights, or when I was really obsessive about what I was eating and how much I weighed. But yeah, it's not, again, I'm not going through like everything that's listed, so these aren't like the only ones that I have in front of me. But yeah, so just for like behavioral warning signs, so this is all stuff that like I deal with and like still deal with. So dieting behaviors such as fasting, counting calories, avoidance of food groups or types. Yeah, I count calories all the time. Excessive, obsessive, or ritualistic exercise patterns. So that's where even if like you're injured or like the weather's like bad, you'll still like always work out just because you feel you have to. And I definitely had that point where like I had some days where it's like I made myself like work out, even if I've been working out like every day like for like the last week, or I felt like if I didn't work out, like I couldn't eat. Avoidance of eating meals, especially when in a social setting, skipping meals by claiming that you've already eaten, or that you have like an allergy, lying about the amount or type of food consumed, or evading questions about eating and weight, behaviors focused on body shape and weight, development of repetitive or obsessive behaviors relating to body shape and weight, such as pinching of waist or wrist, repeated weighing, or excessive time spent looking in mirrors, and then social withdrawal or avoidance of previously enjoyed activities. So those are all, I guess, like behavior symptoms that I had. But yeah, all things that I experience or still deal with. And social withdrawal, as far as like that goes, I think if you're watching this, maybe you might deal with it too. But if you weigh too much, sometimes you're unhappy to yourself to the point where you like don't want to go out. Or if you're not happy with like your weight on a scale, even if you're like supposed to go out that night, you won't really feel like doing it. And then physical warning signs. Oh, that's my dog. Physical, who's currently coughing a little bit. Physical warning signs, at least if you're struggling with an eating disorder, can include weight loss or weight fluctuations, sensitivity to cold, or feeling cold most of the time, even in warm temperatures, and then changes in administration. But yeah, for me, those were all three things that I dealt with. Being cold all the time, weight loss, and then period changes if you're a girl, not really if you're a guy, obviously, and then psychological warning signs. And again, I've already said this a few times, but this is all just things I've dealt with. Preoccupation with food, body shape and weight, extreme body dissatisfaction, distorted body image, such as complaining of being/feeling as looking for fat when actually having a healthy weight, or being underweight, and then sensitivity to comments or criticisms about exercise, food, body shape, or weight. So yeah, those 4 psychological warning signs are definitely all things that I still deal with or have had problems with. So yeah, just being preoccupied with food, or thinking like if you've eaten too much, body shape, what you look like, and again, like weight for like how much you actually weigh on a scale, and then also, again, being extremely dissatisfied with the way that you look. And then definitely for me, the one with distorted body image, such as complaining of being fat or feeling like you're fat or looking for fat when you're actually like underweight or at a healthy weight too. So yeah, I definitely struggle with all 4 of those psychological signs. So yeah, if you're worried about your weight or you've been trying to lose weight, those are some of the things that I experienced and gone through that are all classified as eating disorder. Not symptoms, but they can be like warning signs that you could be developing something. Honestly, it just depends. Because obviously if you're trying to lose weight, you have some form of unhappiness with the way that you look. So yeah, those are some signs. They also have, I'm not quite sure what SCOFF stands for. It's some form of, I guess, eating disorder questionnaire. But if you're, I guess, wondering if you're developing some form of an eating disorder, they have this questionnaire where you can go through, and if you answer yes to any of them, that's basically a point. And then if you have a score of 2 or more, that can indicate that you might have an eating disorder. And just for your guys' own reference, the questions that go along with that, do you make yourself sick, which is inducing vomiting because you feel uncomfortably full? So that's question 1. Question 2, do you worry that you have lost control over how much you eat? And then question 3, have you recently lost more than 12 pounds in a 3-month period? Question 4, do you think you are too fat even though others say you are too thin? And 5, would you say that food dominates your life? So yeah, those are 5 questions. And it's just something to consider. I think, again, if you're struggling to like lose weight or kind of do that stuff, that touches more on the eating disorder aspect of it, which I think is important to acknowledge. Again, those are just, this is all kind of like the beginning stuff. I'm not actually going in, at least for the purposes of this live stream, I'm not jumping into the, I don't know, full on eating disorders, facts, and such. Not for this case. But yeah, so that basically touches on some of the eating disorders. So if you're struggling with any of those things, it's just something to consider. I know some of my close friends were kind of worried that I might have been developing an eating disorder just because of how thin I was, and again, some of the symptoms that I was experiencing. And as far as like the physical ones, those definitely all pointed to that I might be underweight. But yeah, that's kind of that sort of thing. I'm going to drink some water and also give another note that if you're watching this and you like what you hear or you have a thought, you should definitely post it, because I like hearing from you guys and it gives me something more to interact with than, I don't know, just talking to a screen. Water's never tasted so good. So yeah, so if you have any thoughts or questions about that beginning part, either my weight loss journey that you want me to address, or of any of the eating disorder symptoms or early symptoms, you can post about that. Otherwise, I'm just gonna move on to the next part. So something Elmhurst College does is we have like a wellness fair. I believe that's what it's called. Most people know about it. It happens in Frick Center. Anyways, this was last semester, but a lot of the people that work in that department, they have a bunch of like different booths and things and information just on all sorts of topics, whether it's domestic violence or depression, bipolar disorders, suicide, yoga, arts and crafts, just weird things. They're not weird things, but just all sorts of like different topics and that sort of thing. for me, at least at that time, I took a lot of information on the food related things and dieting and kind of learning to love your body. Just because, again, that's what, at least recently, that's what I've been struggling the most with on a day-to-day basis. Is for me, I still don't really like myself, or I don't like physically the way that I look. Sorry, my dog's snoring really loud. You guys probably can't hear him, but I can. It's very distracting. Oh, there he goes. He's awake now. Anyways, so yeah, so I kind of have some information about that. So if you're trying to figure out how to, I don't know, like yourself more or have like a more positive self-image, these are kind of some ways to go about it. And then if you're interested, they're all on like, I don't know, sheets. So if anybody who wants to see like the actual hard copies of these, just let me know, and then I can kind of pass them off to you. So as far as like eating and like trying to lose weight, there's some different mentalities for it. So there's the diet mentality, and then there's, they call it like the, I don't know, not diet mentality. So if you're on like the diet mentality, before you eat, you ask yourself, or you think these things. So you kind of go through it in your head. You might ask yourself if you deserve the food, if you worked out enough today, if you have a certain type of food like chocolate or like sweet, or even just like lunch or like a meal, then you're not allowed to like eat for the rest of the day. If you're eating something in your head, you might say, this is too many calories, I can't eat this. I got on a scale and I don't like what it says, so I'm just not going to eat. Or on the flip side, they also say that you might end up emotionally eating and then be in a bad mood to everyone around you because you're either really hungry or overly full. So those are kind of things that go along with like the diet mentality. I definitely have, well, I still have these issues where I ask myself if I deserve to eat or if I deserve the food. If something is too many calories, I won't always eat it. If I feel like I eat too much, then I'll tell myself that I'm not going to eat for the rest of the day. Or if I get on a scale and I don't like what it says, I get put in a really bad mood. Sorry, guys. And the working out enough. That was definitely me yesterday. I ate too much pie, and then I worked out a lot after that. Like I ran 4 miles, and then I like took my dog on, I think I walked him like another like 3 to 4 miles, and I did like a bunch of calisthenic things. So that was me being, did I work out enough today? So anyways, that's the diet mentality when you have like a very negative relationship with food. Whereas the non-diet mentality, if before eating you ask yourself things like, am I hungry? Obviously, if you're not hungry, then you probably don't want to eat, or you want to try to not eat. I know it's hard. You can ask yourself, do I want this food? I kind of like this one. Am I filled with too many negative emotions right now to enjoy this food? Does the food sound tasty? If I don't eat this, will I feel deprived? Is this food going to satisfy/sustain me? So those are all more positive things you can ask yourself before you eat. And I think a lot of them like make sense too, you know. Especially like the last one too, is this food going to satisfy/sustain me? And it can be hard because sometimes you just want to eat. I get that. Sometimes I just want to eat. I definitely struggle with that. And I struggle with actively choosing to eat more healthy foods. We all have the foods that we like, but asking yourself if something's going to sustain you or satisfy you, that definitely touches more on the healthy eating, you know. Because we all know we should eat more like fruits and vegetables and things that are actually like nutritious and make you like feel good physically. But we all want to go for that bread, man, or cookies. You guys know what you eat. and what you shouldn't be eating. I like the bread. So yeah, that kind of goes along with the diet mentality stuff. So yeah, they do a lot of, I'll touch on both of these, I think. Yeah, they do, going along with that is like listening to your body. Eat when you're really hungry, stop when you're full. So yeah, again, that kind of goes along with like mindfulness or like mindfulness eating. Like before you eat, think about whether it's actually because you're hungry or if it's trying to be like stress relief or if you're bored or lonely, that sort of thing. And then also knowing when you've like had enough. So like eating, not eating smaller portion sizes, but just being aware of like how much you're eating. Or like for me, I have this issue too where whenever I like eat dinner, I always like snack before it, or I get home and I'm just like, dang, I don't know. We have a lot of like chips and hummus. It's super addicting. It's my weakness. But I definitely shouldn't come home and eat that and then be like, yeah, I'm gonna have dinner now. Like I should just eat dinner. Like I shouldn't be doing that beginning part. So that's like for me, that's definitely something. And then they also advise too is not doing anything to like the extreme. So I guess it can be hard because I don't know. I can be a little bit of a black and white person, which is if you don't know the phrase or thinking in black and white, that can be like thinking. That can mean thinking in extremes, or like with like the diet mentality, like a thought that might come to me where I'll be like, okay, if I weigh too much or if I get to 135 pounds, like the black and white thinking or extreme thinking would be like, well, I'm just not going to eat until like I drop down in weight, or I'm going to like barely eat. And obviously it's unrealistic that I would do that or that I would be successful in doing that, most importantly. But also just as like food that you like, because you're going to have things that you crave or that you need to eat like a little bit. Sweets aren't necessarily a bad thing. You just don't want to be eating them all the time if you're like cutting out the nutritious food that your body needs. So yeah, that kind of goes along with listening to your body and eating foods and that sort of thing. And this is the other one that every body is different. I have a lot of issues with this because, again, physically, I don't like the way that I look. I guess it's just like my body structure. There's so many girls that I know where it's like I wish that I looked like them, like they're naturally thin. Or like I'm a very tall person. And I hate the fact that I'm tall because most of the guys I know I'm like the same height as them. So if you're a girl and you like wear heels, and that automatically like makes you taller than them. So that like drives me crazy. So it's like I wish I was like shorter and like smaller and like thinner. And I think like my bone, at least like the bones in me, a lot of, at least my sister and family have told me like my bone structure is just like bigger, or it's like more of an athletic frame. So yeah, that's just genetics. But so for me personally, it's like inwardly, like I know it's true that everybody is different, but it's like I hate that stupid phrase. Because that, because it implies that everybody is different. For some people, that can mean if they can eat whatever they want and they might always be thin, or they can eat whatever they want and maybe if they just exercise, then they're thin. Or it could be that you can't eat whatever you want and you have to exercise a lot and that's the way you're thin. And I don't know, I feel like that's what I classify into. Have to eat really healthy all the time and exercise vigorously. That's definitely the category I fall into. So yeah, that's why I hate that stupid phrase that I don't want to accept, but I know that it's true. So yeah, some of the things that they suggest that go along with that, or at least kind of learning to accept your body. Is one. treat your body with respect, or understand that everybody looks different. Exercise moderately. Try not to do it excessively. Make sure you give yourself enough rest, and fuel it with a variety of foods. So you always want to make sure that you're eating like well and healthy, and you're not just eating like carbs. Obviously, I had that issue at some point, or at a point. And then they also suggest resist the pressure to judge yourself and others based on weight, shape, or size. So again, I've always had that issue with it being like a self-worth thing. Again, now, especially since I've gained a little bit of weight back, that has caused me for my weight to be directly related to my self-worth. But again, even when I weighed like 120 pounds, I still didn't like the way that I looked. I still had a lot of issues with self-worth related to my weight. That isn't anything new per se. And then they also suggest respect people based on the qualities of their character and accomplishments rather than because of their appearance. So yeah, that's kind of what they list. And again, they reiterate, and this has been reiterated across all of their suggestions. So they say, eat what you want when you're truly hungry, stop when you're full, and eat exactly what appeals to you. Do this instead of any diet, and you're likely to maintain a healthy weight and avoid eating disorders. So yeah, there's this idea where if you eat like unhealthy a lot, eventually like your body kind of like starts to like crave fruit or vegetables. I definitely have that. Like I have points where I kind of crave that, and then when I eat fruit after I haven't eaten it in a long time, like it tastes really good. So yeah, those are all just kind of suggestions that they list. And again, if anybody wants like, it comes off like as like a full sheet. I got most of these from the wellness fair. I don't always agree with everything per se, but geez, Ranger. Much as they say every body is different, every mind is different. So what works for one person might not necessarily work for somebody else. But I think if it's positive and it helps you in the end, then that's what matters most. So I see in my little chat, because Facebook lets me know these things, I see that a lot of people have joined this, but nobody's posting. Not to vibe any of you that are watching this right now. But you can always comment if you like what you hear, or you can comment and tell me that I'm wrong and you can disagree with me. But yeah, I have just this one last thing to go through. So yeah, if you want to comment, you should definitely do it now, because otherwise after this, I'll probably be signing off, so to speak. So yeah, if you have any comments about what I said in the beginning about my weight loss journey, kind of the symptoms or thought patterns that could develop into an eating disorder, any of the stuff about listening to your body or diet mentalities, let me know. Otherwise, I will just keep going, and then we'll be done with this. So yeah, so this is basically a list. I don't know if I'll go through all of them. I might just do the ones that I like. Geez, I say so much. Anyways, so it's a list, and it's 20 ways to love your body. It was compiled by somebody who has a PhD, so that's cool. Yeah, so I'll just kind of read through these a little bit. So if you're really struggling with like your self-worth and like body image and that, then this can kind of help you. And again, if anybody wants these sheets, just let me know, and I can post a picture of them in like the chat if anybody's interested in that, or I can just send them to you too. So yeah, these are some ways to like more positively think about your body. So the first one, think of your body as the vehicle to your dreams. Honor it, respect it, fuel it. So that means that you have to eat. Create a list of all things your body lets you do. Read it and add to it often. you know, because you should like your body, because it is, you know. Sorry, my dog's being loud. He's being a loud puppy right now. Third one, be aware of what your body can do each day. Remember, it is the instrument of your life, not just an ornament. Create a list of people you admire, people who have contributed to your life, your community, or the world. Consider whether their appearance was important to their success and accomplishments. Walk with your head held high, supported by pride and confidence in yourself as a person. Don't let your weight or shape keep you from activities that you enjoy. Wear comfortable clothes that you like, that express your personal style, and that feel good to your body. Count your blessings, not your blemishes. Think about all the things you could accomplish with the time and energy you currently spend worrying about your body and appearance. Be your body's friend and supporter, not its enemy. Every morning when you wake up, thank your body for resting and rejuvenating itself so you can enjoy the day. Let me find a method of exercise that you enjoy and do it regularly. Don't exercise to lose weight or to fight your body. Do it to make your body healthy and strong, and because it makes you feel good. Exercise for the 3 F's: fun, fitness, and friendship. Think back to a time in your life when you felt good about your body. Tell yourself you can feel like that again, even in this body at this age. Keep a list of 10 positive things about yourself without mentioning your appearance, and then continue to add to it. Start saying to yourself, life is too short to waste my time hating my body this way. Eat when you're hungry, rest when you're tired. Surround yourself with people that remind you of your inner strength and beauty. So yeah, I didn't read all of those. There's technically a total of 20. For those of you that watch this and maybe think some of them are silly or over the top, you know, I think some of them can kind of come off of that way. Not like forcefully positive, but what I found too, at least when I was dealing with my depression, although this is slightly off topic, sometimes you have to force yourself to be like overly positive or find certain things to say to yourself that help you make yourself feel better, so that you can like correct your really negative way of thinking. So as far as this goes, if you don't necessarily understand some of them, for somebody that's in a really bad place in regards to like their body image, for them, these are the things that they need to tell themselves or like go through, so they can kind of like move past hating their body. And that doesn't necessarily mean that if you want to lose weight, like you shouldn't lose it, or if you need to lose weight so that you can be healthy. It just means you shouldn't hate yourself while you're trying to do that journey, and that's the most important thing. That your weight doesn't reflect your self-worth, and you don't stop yourself from going out socially or like being with friends just because of your appearance, which again I have issues with and I struggle with. But if you're trying to lose weight, ideally you want to try to have it be in the most positive way possible, in the most positive journey possible, so that you enjoy losing weight or you feel proud of yourself, and that hopefully you're not skipping lunch or skipping dinner to do that, or then binge eating later on and hating yourself for that. I need to scroll down a little bit more again. All right, cool. So yeah, that's all I have to say on this topic. Everybody in chat today was very shy. That's okay. I understand it can be, I don't know, scary to comment, I suppose. But yeah, that's all I have to say on the topic. If you watch through this or you go through all of it, you know, don't be afraid to comment afterwards. I still look through those comments and I answer them, and I enjoy it when people do. You can also shoot me a private message too. I know folks have done that, and I like it when you guys do that as well. So if you like it, Ranger, stop. Sorry, that's my dog. Again. Okay, all right, now he's done. So if you're too uncomfortable with posting a comment, you can always just shoot me a message. I enjoy receiving those too, and I'll answer them, of course, as well. But yeah, that's all of my thoughts on this subject. It's definitely still, as I said before, it's definitely still something that I still struggle with now. Again, for me, even though I've lost a lot of weight in my brain, I still want to lose more weight. And it's definitely a self-worth thing for me. Or in your brain, you think that you won't be attractive until you lose more weight or until you look a certain way. And sometimes, depending on what the image that you have in your head, you might never be able to achieve that. Again, just if it's a genetics thing, because everybody's difficult to say the least, and it's definitely still something that I struggle with. But I'm going to close that one off here since we've been going for a while. But yeah, make sure to send me questions or comments or post them if you're brave. I like it when people post on these. Yeah, that's it.